الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Most respected elders, our brothers and sisters alike, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the entire universe. We appreciate Him for all His ni'mah and rahmah for all of us and our household, for giving us yet another opportunity to be part of this congregation, wherein we try to review a book called Sharh and Usul and Tsalatsah, wherein you and I are expected to revamp our iman in an attempt to struggle to have a good or clean shahada, or what we call good certificate of Tawheed, with which, inshallah al-Kareem, we have hope in Allah that we'll get to Al-Jannah. May Allah grant all of us Al-Jannah to Firdaus. Without Tawheed, no one will get the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially on the day of Qiyamah. If a Muslim gets a pass mark in everything in dunya, but zero in Tawheed, that person has nothing to fall back upon on the day of Qiyamah. Indeed, such a soul is one of the souls that will be humiliated on the day of Qiyamah. May Allah not count yours and mine among them. Last week, inshallah, a quick reminder, we discussed what happens inside the cupboard when a Muslim is buried, either a male or a female, and non-Muslim alike. We made mention of these three spiritualities. What are these three fundamental matters that we have been talking about again and again? We continue to talk about them again and again until we all make our way back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number one, what we talked about last week, what's going to happen to Muslims, those who were not given Islam priority on earth. Once they were asked in their qabr, Man Rabbuka, the answer will be Ha La Adri. Who is your Lord? I don't know. Ma Dinuka, what is your religion? Ha La Adri. Man Nabiyuka, who is your prophet? La Adri, I do not know. May Allah not make you and I from among them. These are people who will face the wrath of Allah right from the qabr, and then they will not be spared on the day of Qiyamah. The second categories are those who immediately they are asked, Man Rabbuka, who is your Lord? He smiles and say, Rabbi Allah, my Lord is Allah. Ma Dinuka, what is your religion? He says, Dini al-Islam. Islam is my religion. Woman Nabiyuka, and who is your prophet? He says, Nabiyyi Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In another way, they will ask him, Mada taqulu fi dhaka ar-rajul alladhi bu'itha fikum. What will you have to say about that man who has been raised as a messenger from among your sons? Why among our sons? Because innama ana basharun mithlukum. Prophet sallallahu was not from jinn. He wasn't from among the angels, from among flesh human beings like us. And a Muslim who gave priority to Islam will be able to give answer. May Allah make it easier for all of us. Today, inshallah Kareem, we are going to discuss, if you are asked, Man Rabbuka, who is your Lord? Our topic today in our lesson is that, Rabbi Allah, my Lord is Allah. It doesn't end there. And those who will be able to say it, they need to know actually who Allah is. They need to understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. They need to understand the nitty-gritty of the workings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They need to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is up to Allahu Akbar. What is Allah up to? Allah is up to everything. There is nothing that is beyond the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to know who Allah is. Tonight, inshallah Kareem, we also need to know who is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not just by Nabi Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that's all. No. If you and I will take our time to read about Shakespeare, Things Fall Apart, all these people, we read about them right from infant, childhood, up to old age, all their scholarly effort, then we need to understand better who Prophet sallallahu is. Inshallah, for those who understand better who Allah is, for those who know Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a detailed way, and for those who understand Islam, they are the ones that are going to give this question good answers in the couple. May Allah make it easier for all of us. Last one, Islam. Islam. We need to understand also tonight, what is Islam? Is this Islam we practice? Yes or no? We will know tonight. Then is that Islam we practice among ourselves? And we also practice it when we are alone. We practice it. We are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to understand the true definition of Islam, the one brought by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now we continue from page 13, 5 down here. وَهُوَ مَعْرِفَةُ اللَّهِ وَمَعْرِفَةُ نَبِيِّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم وَمَعْرِفَةُ دِينِ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلَامِ بِالْأَدِلَّةِ. These are three things we are going to Jojo inshallah Kareem. Looking at words of Allah, Quran, and authentic hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa ma'rifatullah. The knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is compulsory for a Muslim. Kayfa ya'rifu al-'abdu rabbah? How will a Muslim know who Allah is? Ya'rifuhu bi ayatihi wa makhluqatihi. A Muslim will understand, will know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his ayat. What are ayat? The signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa makhluqatihi, and the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two things. You need to ask how, what, all these things will give them inshallah in the Quran. Ya'rifuhu bi ayati wa makhluqatihi. A Muslim will understand, will know Allah with his signs, wa makhluqatihi, and his creation. Famin ayatihi, from the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-layl wa nahar, the night and day. Who created night and day? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did that. That is part of his sign, al-layl and nahar. Wa min makhluqatihi, part of the creations made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ash-shams wal qamar, sun and moon. Sayati bayanu hada insha'Allah. Sheikh Al-Salih said, the bayan explanation will come. When we say ayat of Allah, ayat are categorized into two. These clear signs of Allah. Those who can fish out from the Quran as ayat, that is tilka ayatullahi natluha alayka bilhaq. These are signs of Allah. Al-layl, al-nahar, al-duha. All these are signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may mention in the Quran. Then the verse of Quran itself, they are part of ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because no single human being can bring a similitude, is similar to any chapter of the Quran. No one can do that. Part of Injazul Quran. Quran Kalamun Qadim is the oldest book in our hand today. La yamallu sama'uhu. But no one, no Muslim who is conscious will ever be tired of listening to Quran. If you are tired of listening to Quran, that means your iman, your tawhid is shaky. And then you need to look inward before it is late. If you are tired of listening to Quran, Kai, Akeshi, no, or Kai, I have heard of students, he said, no, I can't listen, no. Something is actually wrong with that person's iman. May Allah not cause our iman to down. Now, al-layl wa nahar, night and day, they are part of signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tulitu layla fin nahar, wa tulitu nahara fil layl. Allah interchanges this with his hikmah, with his power, with his wisdom. Then, in verse of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, these are part of ayat of Allah. Al-layl wa nahar, wa shams wal qamar, and Allah gives a warning. La tasjudu li shams wala lil qamar. Don't bow down, don't prostrate, don't ever prostrate either for sun or for the moon. Wasjudu lillahi alladhi khalaqahun. Only prostrate for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who had created all of them. Meaning, all these are part of creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A Muslim is expected to know Allah, to understand who Allah is through all these creations. Now, Yarifullah, بآياته الكونية وآياته القرآنية. A Muslim will understand, he will know Allah through his signs, al-kawniyya, that have to do with the universe. The universe. Dunya itself is enough, a clear sign that Allah SWT is one. When you check Surah Al-Mulk, Allah SWT made mention. All this under Tawheed al-Uluhiyya and Tawheed al-Uluhiyya, al-Rububiyyah and Asma wa Sifat. All of them were well discussed. Number one, al-Kawniyya. When you look at the universe, that's the first point of call for every wise person, even who is not a Muslim. You know why? That was the first point of call when you look at the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Before Allah raised him as a messenger, we all know about the seerah of Gar Hira. He used to go to Gar Hira. يتفكر يفكر في خلق السماوات والأرض. How ever since this sky, we have been looking at them like that, no any pothole, Allahu Akbar Kabir. There's no any place that you can see that a place is leaking, or you go to any part of this world where you see that there's no sky, the sama is not covered there, no place. Allahu Akbar Kabir. That's the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet was doing that before Allah raised him as a messenger. He will go out there, just be pondering upon al-kawn, the entire life, entire dunya. Not only Prophet has done that, part of the khaliq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he used to think even before he became a prophet too. That's the first point of God for every right-thinking human being, not even a Muslim now. To just sit down, those who say they are free thinkers, they should look inward. Who has been there? Whatsoever story you are writing today, something started before that story. Then something will end after that story. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-hayyu al-qayyum, He is a living one. He has been there, he has been there, and he shall ever remain there till everything finishes. And then till Yawm al-Qiyamah, having beg Allahu Akbar kabira beyond that. Now, wa ayatihi al-Qur'aniyya. A Muslim will also understand Allah through ayatul Qur'aniyya, the verse of Quran, as we made mention. Now, saying this, arafa anna Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala idha qara al-Quran. If a Muslim reads Quran, we made mention last week, it's not just a وَرَتَّلْنَاهُ تَرْتِيلًا. We read Quran in sequential and we try to do tadabbur ma'ani. We try to know the meaning. Any Muslim who understands, who reads Quran and understands, is a better Muslim. How? There are injunctions he himself will deduce from Quran. And we made mention, for instance, you don't need to go far. We want to discuss about Qiyamul Layl. You have Surah Al-Muzammil there. Ya ayyuhal muzammil, qum al-layla illa qalila, nisfahu aw inqus minhu qalila. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlights and enumerate how we do it. The same way, if you want to look about dunya, your transaction, what you need to expect to understand. Allah made mention of all this in Surah Al-Mulk about your coming to this dunya for you to know it is test. When to have a living, Allah made mention in Surah Al-Naba. وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. Everything is well discussed in the Quran. A Muslim who reads Quran and understands will definitely understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. You know that definitely it's Allah who created all the heavens, the sky, and earth who created the heart. One verse is enough. Just like Bidayah Surah Al-Fatir. Fatir there. Alhamdulillah, Fatir is-samawati wal-ard. Praise be to Allah, the creator of heavens and earth. That is enough. That is enough. And Shakespeare said this, Aristotle said this and that. All this ma'azallah biha min sultan. If you try to understand Allah through Aristotle, you will not get the nitty-gritty of how Allah works. You get everything in the Quran. Fatir is-samawati wal-ard. Then وَأَنَّهُ الَّذِي سَخَّرَ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. It is He, Allah, who subdues with His power, who softens and subdues and rescues everything in this head, in the heart, and then in the heaven. وَأَنَّهُ الَّذِي يُحْيِي وَيُمِيتُ. And you have to understand also that it is He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who gives life, who takes life. He had made mention in Surah Al-Mulk. هو الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Nobody created you. Believe into two. As you believe that nobody created you, برب الكعبة, nobody can kill you. That's the iman. That's how you need to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وهو على كل شيء قدير. You also know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has power over everything. Ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allah controls everything into two. The remote control of dunya and akhirah is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatsoever that has happened, Allah knows. Whatsoever that are happening, Allah is in the know. Whatsoever that shall happen to you and I, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. Allah kulli shay'in qadir. He knows everything, He does everything, every power lies in His hand, and then He takes full control of everything. Wa annahu ar-Rahmanur Rahim. You know through Quran that ar-Rahmanur Rahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually is most beneficent and most merciful. All these we have mentioned, you can get them also in Surah Al-Hashr about definition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَالْقُرْآنِ يُعَرِفُ بِاللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Quran that is in your hand, in your house, in my house, it gives us more knowledge about Allah. Quran introduces Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all of us. وَأَنَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْعَمَ عَلَيْنَا بِجَمِيعِ النِّعَمِ. That definitely it is Allah who has bestowed upon all of us all the enjoyments we have in dunya. No human being, wallahi. Allah might use somebody as a sabbath, but it has been recorded 50,000 years before Allah created heavens and earth that you be turbaned as somebody in your community. You might not come and get it through somebody, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has written it down. For whatsoever position you acquire or you get on earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has had everything in Lawhul Mahfuz. Now, stages, time in, time out, days in, days out, years in, years out, you will be coming, and all those things will be coming your way, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had perfectly written them in Lawhul Mahfuz. Meaning, nothing is called shortchange when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody can reduce your sustenance. Nobody can increase your sustenance except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَنَا وَرَزَقَنَا. Definitely, how to know Allah? Allah that He Allah, خَلَقَنَا, He is the one who created all of us. وَرَزَقَنَا, and He gives us provision. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ عَرَفْتَ رَبَّكَ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. If you read Quran, always underline it as we made mention last week. Quran is not just to say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, and you don't know 1 minute. No, you have to understand. No matter how level or time it will take you, just devote little time daily, even if it is 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Take your Quran, and Alhamdulillah, we made mention of this. We have Quran translated to almost all the world languages today. I have not seen a language that doesn't have its own Quran, except maybe because I don't understand Arabic fully. But I've seen Hausa, Allahu Akbar, done by Sheikh Abubakar Mahmoud Gumi, may Allah have His mercy on him and grant him al-Jannah. We have Yoruba, Quran, translated, Allahu Akbar, 2 scholars, then it has been reviewed 2 years ago. Those who have worked with that, may Allah grant them al-Jannah. We have in Igbo too, people are working tirelessly, so that you and I will not have any excuse that I did not know. No. We have to understand, if you cannot read English, you can read your own language. Read your own language, but you need to know the text of Quran with Arabic. It's far better. If you read through transliteration, you may try, but you can never ever get it the way it was revealed to Prophet ﷺ if you read through transliteration. Because the pronouncement in our own language is quite different from another language. Even in Nigeria, more than 30 languages, more than 100 tribes. We have so many languages. So if you want to read through transliteration in your own language, even your own language, when you try to read today, you make mistake, despite the fact that it's your language. Let's take example. If you are reading a newspaper written in your own language, you will have read like 1 paragraph. You come back, okay, this is what he meant here, because you are not conversant with language. That of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Quran and Arabiya. We reveal Quran with Arabic language. Then we try to hustle, we try to struggle, we try to give more effort to understand Quran. May Allah make it easier for all of us. If you do this, then Quran will now give you 3 things. Number 1, you know Allah bi asma'ihi, through His names. The authentic names Allah gives to Himself, not adulterated names some people give to Allah. Underline it. Authentic names Allah confirms based on what Prophet ﷺ said, Lillahi al-asma'ul husna, wa lillahi tis'un wa tis'una isman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had 99 names, beautiful ones. Man ahsaha, whoever memorizes those names, 99 of them, and bring them to practice, dakhala al-jannah, that person will enter al-jannah. May Allah make it easier for all of us. Then, how do you know them? Allah himself made mention. And he exonerated himself from anything nusur, any inadequacy. Anything inadequacy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exonerates himself as Prophet did. You will know Allah through his beautiful names, wasifatihi. A Muslim will understand Allah if he reads Quran very well and understand the nitty-gritty of Quran. He will also understand Allah through his attributes. Then he will understand Allah through af'al, all his workings. Now, let's take first example. The Asma'ullah al-Husna. Check Surah Al-Hashr, as we made mention. Allah gives his own definition of who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La yastawi ashabul nari wa ashabul jannah. Ashabul jannati humul faizun. Allah says they are not comparable. The people, dwellers of Al-Jannah and dwellers of hell, they are not comparable. Ashabul jannati humul faizun. The dwellers of Al-Jannah, they are the successful ones. May Allah make all of us from among them. Allah says, Huwa Allahu alladhi la ilaha illahu. It is He, Allah. Allah who deserves the act of ibadah. Only who deserves to be worshipped. La ilaha illahu. There is no any God anywhere who is worthy to be worshipped but Him. Lahul asma'ul husna. He has beautiful names. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enumerates, Huwa Allahu alladhi la ilaha illahu. Al-Malik, Al-Quddus, As-Salam, Al-Mu'min, Al-Muhaymin, Al-Aziz, Al-Jabbar, Al-Mutakabbir, Subhanallah amma yushriku. Allahu Akbar kabir. All these are names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot get them exclusively except in the Quran. If you read Quran, you know Allah, who have made mention, is the king of all names. Ar-Rahman, most beneficent. Ar-Rahim, Allahu Akbar, most merciful. Al-Malik, the dominion, Allahu Akbar. Al-Quddus, the most sacred. As-Salam, the peace, Allahu Akbar kabir. These are names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to understand them. Likewise, you need to understand and what we say as sifat. What are the sifat? In the Quran also. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyu al-qayyum. Now, under hayyu al-qayyum, he says, alladhi khalaqa al-mauta wal-hayata liyabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amala. You take where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks, Allah lisan Ibrahim alayhi salam. That is, you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created me, He will cause me to die, He makes me to see, and He gives everything. Now, all these thoughts coming together, they are part of sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Muhyi, Al-Mumit, from Al-Hayy, Muhyi, no one gives life but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Mumit, no one causes one to die but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if somebody shoots another person now, wallahi, it has been written in the book of Allah that that person will die at that time. The one that will not die, he will not die. And that is why it is not that bullet. The comfort of Allah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made, it has been stored there in Lahul Mahfuz. That is why, even without the bullet, somebody may just be walking, he will just slump and die. Because that time has come. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive all our shortcomings. Respect brothers in Islam. Going to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-af'al. In knowing al-af'al of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we made mention, part of our discussion last week, some people take attributes of Allah to themselves. Muslims are expected to stay away completely from this, especially the self-acclaimed awliya. Allah has his wali, sincerely speaking. But even Prophet ﷺ did not mention any wali. Prophet ﷺ did not mention that these are sifat of wali. The sifat of wali, Allah himself had mentioned. So if you bring all those sifat, like in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah says, Allahu waliyul ladina amanu. Allah himself is the Lord, Allahu Akbar, and protector of all the believing men and women. Now, if you find your way into that category through the awal of Surah Al-Mu'minun, Qad aflaha al-mu'minun, as we made mention, all the 10 sifat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made mention, then inshallah you are in the circle, in that sort Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proclaimed. But it is not expected of a Muslim to declare himself that I am a wali and what I am going to do this and that. In as much as sifat, many people take the attribute of Allah to our own contemporary human beings. Those who go to toilet, those who sleep with their wives, those who do abracadabra, but some people overrate them to the extent of calling them Allah. May Allah forgive our shortcomings. Some overrated human beings to even go beyond the level of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a big mistake, and if people die upon that, it will be difficult for them in the couple to say Rabbi Allah, Dini al-Islam, Muhammad Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It will be difficult. May Allah ease our affairs. Now, when you say this, you understand. Ma'rifatu, you understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you know all his workings. وَإِذَا نَظَرْتَ فِي الْقَوْلِ. When you now look at the universe, you have read Quran, you understand Quran, you get to know who Allah is, you know his attributes, you know his workings in the Quran. Now, وَإِذَا نَظَرْتَ فِي الْقَوْلِ. When you look at the universe itself, عرفت ربك سبحانه وتعالى, you also understand, you know Allah, if you look at dunya as we made mention. بِأَسْمَائِهِ وَصِفَاتِهِ. But on that, أَنَّهُ الَّذِي خَلَقَ هَذَا الْخَلْقَ. You actually believe that it is Allah who had created this universe. As we made mention, in Surah Al-Mulk, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the purpose of our creation. And that everything will not be rosary. You have come to this dunya, even if you didn't want to come, you have come, then compulsively you must die. تَبَارَكَ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ الْمُلْكُ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. The only thing you need to do, not to condemn anybody, not to blame anybody for your coming to this dunya, is that أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Worship Allah, be nice, be good, have a good mannerism, behave well. You can never ever have good mannerism except that you throw Quran. You can never ever have good mannerism except that you understand Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and you follow his instruction. Now, doing that, you become a good Muslim by giving to Allah what is due to Allah. Allah's name, Allah, nobody should then bear that name. That is why, to bring ourselves down in humility, we say Abdullah. You can never ever have any Alhaji Allah. You will not see the end of dunya that day. If you want to try, name your own child. You will not see the end of that son that day. That's the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah hates shirk. This one now goes beyond shirk. Like Pharaoh declared himself Allah. That one goes beyond shirk. Shirk is to worship Allah and to worship something else. Now this one came and said, he is the Allah. Allahu Akbar Kabir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates it. Because of that, we need to understand Tawheed, because today, Wallahi al-Azim, either inadvertently, knowingly or unknowingly, some Muslims, they work, they do everything, but they are still enmeshed in shirk. They are still enmeshed in shirk. Recall our last topic of Khutbah, Juma. A lot. And Prophet Allah told him, nobody will come back to him with shirk and the person expects any mercy. No mercy. No, not at all. Even if it was done by mistake. If it was done by mistake, Allah forgives the past. Now you've had, you will correct yourself. No one will go back to Allah. You might memorize Quran. You can even memorize all the hadith, but you just worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Part of it is to have somebody as Muslim. Like somebody we may mention, to believe in soothsaying, sorcerers, that no, that man sees is powerful. Whatsoever he tells you, that thing shall come to pass. No. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Allah to you. When you look at the universe, you understand that no one did all this but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the Bahar. Just go to the river, look at it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes absolute control of everything that happens there. Look at the quantum of rain. No single scientist, nobody, or statistician can ever give us the quantum of drop of water from heaven. Nobody. In fact, part of that knowledge, even Prophet Allah did not give it. If it rains here, no one can give us adequately that this is the quantum of water that's falling. No, nobody knows. It's part of the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's part of the count. When you look, you know, nobody but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind all this. Allahu Akbar Kabir. Not only that, if you continue with that, أَنَّهُ الَّذِي خَلَقَ هَذَا الْكَوْنَ وَسَخَّرَ هَذَا الْكَوْنَ وَأَجْرَاهُ بِحِكْمَتِهِ وَعِلْمِهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. You also understand that nobody is behind all this but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if it rains in Abuja, They will tell us only when you watch network news, they only tell us it will rain in Abuja. They will not mention part of Abuja because they don't know. They don't know. They can only try with their sophisticated whatever technology. You see, it will rain in Abuja. Sometimes it does rain, sometimes it will not rain. Even when it rains, they themselves cannot mention that, okay, it will rain in Lube. Those who are telling us on the TV, they know everywhere in Abuja. But they have never mentioned, okay, in Lube it will rain. Cytec Estate it will rain. It will not rain in Karamajiji. They will not mention. They only say Abuja. They only say Kanu. Then where in Kanu? If you now call somebody in Kanu, where in his own area it didn't rain, he will tell you it didn't rain at all. And Allah would have done it in way He wishes. It will not even rain anywhere, whatever they may say. All these things, nobody is behind them but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, for you to know Allah again, if you go on and on, looking at this word, you understand that al-ilmu billahi azza wa jalla. This is the knowledge we need to understand, we need to study to know Allah better. Now, as a Muslim, if you are expected, as you know, you must understand that inside your qabr, there shall come a day when you and I will be buried, and there is no la manja wa la manja illa illallah. No rescue at that day but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you and I would have done our own little way. What are those efforts? You need to understand. If today you know that they will ask you, Man Rabbuka, who is your Lord? You need to understand all you have mentioned. Not just to say, Rabbi Allah. For you to say Rabbi Allah, that means you understand all what you have mentioned, nitty-gritty. You know that without any element of doubt, no one enriches you but Allah. Even if you have a godfather, political godfather, wallahi, he can never make what Allah is not ready to make you. Political godson, you are to somebody. Don't let God's sonship take you away from Salat. Because one day, the Father, the Son, and everybody will part our way. But the only way we will come together and unite is in that of oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you need to understand, nothing is behind Al-Khaliq except Allah. Your life is with Allah. Your death is with Allah. Your prosperity is with Allah. Everything, even trials. Because we make mention of everything in dunya, but we run away from that trial. Even trial is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Prophet ﷺ made mention, Al-Anbiya ashaddu bala. The prophets of Allah, they are the worst if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tried them in many ways, as you all know. Then Al-Mu'minun, those who are on the ladder, who are not only on the bottom, they are medium, that's Mu'minun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also tried them. And if Allah tries you, that shows the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ever make all of us from among the grateful ones that will be passing our tests, inshallah. Number 3 there, now we come to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ma'arifatu Nabiyyi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is shameful for a Muslim not to know anything about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Highly embarrassing. You say Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You ask, how many wives did he have? How many children? I don't know. Where did he live? I don't know. But we are Muslim? Yes. How many times did Allah make mention Muhammad in the Quran? I don't know. Okay. It's okay. Now, you need to understand who Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is. Who are Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah be pleased with him. لأنه هو المبلغ عن الله عز وجل. The first reason why you must know him and understand who he is that he was the one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to deliver the message. Allah himself did not come down. He sent Prophet sallallahu, and something we need to understand today, respected elders and brothers in Islam. Wallahi, there is no any other religions we deceive ourselves. Right from the day Allah sent the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all other religions were being wiped away. Islam is the last. Everybody, including idol worshippers, they will be raised on the day of Qiyamah from among the ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then imma ashabul yamin wa imma ashabul shimal. But Isa alayhi salam, his own time has gone, and he himself has gone. Nothing again is working after him. So nobody will claim to worship him. Nobody will claim to know him as a Rasul. Every other living thing today, including you and I, we are part of the ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because Allah confirmed that he is the Khatam al-Anbiya wa Imam al-Mursaleen, the last of all the apostles, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, Muslim needs to understand him because he was the channel go between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَبَيْنَ Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala فِي تَبْلِيغِ رِسَالَةٍ in terms of delivering the message. Allah gave him the message and he delivered the message to us. Then we need to know him, because knowing him will make us to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better. As Allah says in the Quran, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. If today you know, you think, you believe that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَاتَّبِعُونِي, you follow me. I'm the one Allah sent to you. I'm the one to lead you to Allah. I'm the one to lead you to Al-Jannah. Follow me. If truly you love Allah, if you do that, you will be become Allah. Allah will extend His love to you. May Allah extend more love to all of us. Respect brothers in Islam. Under this, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, la budda an ta'rifahu. It is not you can. It is not you should. It is not you may wish. No, you may wish. No, you must know Prophet sallallahu. If truly man kana yu'min billah wal yawmil akhir, you must understand who Prophet is. La budda an ta'rifahu. That's what the Shaykh is saying. It is not at your own convenience. No. I read at this at my convenience. No. Take time to know, especially mu'amala, especially ibadah, especially about tawheed. When you take care of all this, inshallah kareem, you will be on the same page to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You need to understand him, and he says, la budda an ta'rifahu. It is compulsory for you to know Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ta'rifu man huwa, by birth, who was he? Aina wulida, where was he born? Kayfa nasha, how did he grow up? Kayfa tarara, Allahu Akbar kabir. All this you need to know through Sirah of Prophet sallallahu, not just tales or whatever we call it. No, you can read novels, fine, but at least know your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You want to meet him on the day of Qiyamah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You want him to intercede for you. Without his intercession, with the mercy of Allah, wallahi, none of us will get to Al-Jannah. You will not even get to the gate of Al-Jannah. If you don't believe until that day, Allahu Akbar kabira. La yatakallamu illa man adina lahu rahman wa qala sawaba. Nobody will say, hey, including Ibrahim alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam, then Kifli, all of them, everybody will keep mute. And people will be growing helter-skelter. Then if you know that you want to be under his opportunity given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to understand him. You need to understand him. You must understand him. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa ta'rifu nasabahu. You need to understand the lineage of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. From where to where, you need to understand. Not only that, alladhi yantahi, wa ta'rif baladahu. You also need to know his town. Where was he born? In Mecca. Where did he die? Medina. These are things we need to sing in the ears of our children. They should know all this right from infant, even before they begin. They start salat. You don't hide anything. Everything is clear. But if you don't know, you need to know now, and then we need to pass this across to all our children. Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you do that, what does Majah be sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We also need to know what he has brought for us. He has brought something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all of us. Al-Islam, Al-Quran, we need to know. Not only that, ta'rif kayfa bada al-wahy. You also need to understand, how did the revelation start? He didn't wake up as a messenger. He was not born a messenger. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destined him to be a messenger, but he also passed through some times, and he had his own experience before he became a messenger. You need to understand. Kayfa bada al-wahy. وكيف قام بالدعوة إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى عز وجل في مكة والمدينة. You need to know also how he started the da'wah, the mission, how he started the call, admonition, invitation to the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to understand in Mecca and Medina. And then ta'rif sirat al-Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You also need to understand his biography. You need to know history of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even if it's just in summary, you need to know Muhammadun sallallahu alaihi wasallam bin Abdullah, bin Abdul Muttalib, bin Abdul Manaf, bin Qusay, bin Luway, bin Ka'b, bin Mudrik, up to Ibrahim alayhi salam. From the lineage of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, we need to know. And then, how did he start the wahy? He was just in the cave of Hira, as we have read. Angel Jibril alayhi salam just appeared from nowhere and says, Iqra, Iqra. He looked up and down. What is he saying? Read what? Okay, if you don't know. Ya Muhammad, Iqra. Ya Rasulullah, Muhammad, Iqra. Read. When Jibril alayhi salam persistently shouted, read. He says, Ma ana biqari. I don't know anything to read. Allahu Akbar. And he says, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaqa. Read the name of your Lord, alladhi what? Khalaqa, who created everything. Now, if you want to practice Islam, you can never practice Islam successfully without knowledge. Prophet ﷺ himself started with knowledge under the tutelage of Allah himself through Angel Jibril alayhi salam. And we make mention of this. Hadith Qudusi is very, very common. Fa'arifuni qabla an ta'buduni. Know me before you start worshiping me. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفُنِي فَكَيْفَ يَعْبُدُنِي. He who does not know me, how will he worship me? You cannot worship even those who are worshiping idols. Astaghfirullah. They went and brought khashab and they made it in form of something they appreciate and they are worshiping. Even though what they have got to worship, they themselves that have worshipped all Hatam Jahannam. May Allah not make you alive from among them. It's one verse in Islam. When Prophet ﷺ began the da'wah, Allah told him, وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. Start from your household. Because he couldn't have come out to tell anybody about Allah. It would be a root shock to people. Allah, where even the Kaaba we see today, the Kaaba is like a museum where they kept all the idols. Allahu Akbar. Then he came out and was telling them, La ilaha illallah. From the family members, those who are closer to him, La ilaha illallah. Say La ilaha illallah. Some will say La ilaha illallah because they were very, very pleased with him. Look at this. Why? The few ones that came across it from among the family, those who accepted instantly, because they knew him not to be a liar. They knew him to be a trustworthy person, even before becoming a prophet. People will gather money, okay, keep it for me. The way you kept it, anytime you come, take your own, take your own, take your own. Whatsoever, walau kana alayhi, even if that thing is against himself, he will say it the way it is. You may blame him, but he will say it, he will not lie. Number 3, whatsoever happens among human beings, he will tell you the way it is. You did this one said you did this, why this, before even he became a prophet. You recall what happened between him and Khadija, if not for trustworthiness. Khadija made proposal, talk to him that, marry me, Allahu Akbar, for a woman of 40 and a young man of 25 years old. But because of that trust, Khadija found it so interesting that ever since this man came into her life and business, everything was going smoothly. No any inadequacy, no any attacks. Just like you and I, if you have a taxi driver, you give him a car. The first month you get your money complete. Second month, money complete. The third month, your imam of Angwa will come between two of you because, say, uncle, these are experienced people. Many people, today, money there, tomorrow this, but next time you say, Wallahi, things happen. I've been with organizer. And then flat tire today. Next tomorrow, brake fail, break whatever. Next one, another issue until after 6 months, say, Kai, I think we just give him the car. Go and be you and your life and car. Go. Some they will not even get car again. Just one example. Some mechanics they collect the car. Say, come tomorrow, next tomorrow, they collect money from this, from that. He's sleeping somewhere. They are looking for him. Oh, ask for Farouk. Bagama. Where's Oga? We don't know. He's in Apo legislative village, mechanic village. He will not come back till 3 days. All these things, we should learn from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Learn to be trustworthy. That people say, Birabbil Kaaba, there is this sister. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elongate her life. People who gather money. She has been doing that. And yesterday, she was telling me, somebody sent money from another state. That this part of the wa'azi we do from another state, and through somebody I saw just for inshallah for future use. The person had not called her before sending the money. He had not called. He didn't even call. He only sent the money because he has been doing that before. You yourself ask yourself. Let me ask myself. myself. How many people will gather money for me and then get the money when they need it? How many will give you money to keep and they will get it when they need it? If the answer is good for all of us, alhamdulillah. If the answer is not good, I don't know your heart, you don't know my heart, I know myself, you know yourself. But Prophet Sallallahu, nobody. In fact, when he came out and gathered the people of Quraysh, we're talking of Wahy. And he said to them, all of them, Ya Mashar Quraysh, this is family. Because Prophet Sallallahu is from Quraysh. He gathered all of them, old, minor, big, women, men, and he climbed the mount and said to them, if I tell all of you now that Yaqul min hadha al-jabal, Yaqul min hadha al-jabal, hisanan, if I tell you that a horse will come from this mountain, will you believe? If I tell you that a camel will walk out from this mountain, will you believe? All of them, Allahu Akbar, we have never tested you except that you are a trustworthy person. So if you tell us that some people come, we believe to come. Allahu Akbar, you can see. And all of them said they believe. In fact, it was Al-Amin. What's the name of Al-Amin? As-Sadiq al-Masduq. Allahu Akbar. Trustworthy, even before he became a prophet. This Mabda al-Wahy. And Prophet Sallallahu did that, immediately he says, Innama ana basharun mithlukum yuha ilay. Allahu Akbar. Annama ilahukum ilahum wahid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent me. I'm a flesh, human being like you. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent me to you that he is nobody but him, worthy of worship, only him. They all look at themselves. Few ones, those who are taking la ilaha illallah, they believe. That was the beginning of downfall and calamity in the life and time and even akhirah of Abu Lahab. From among the family. He came out and said to Muhammad, astaghfirullah, he abused Prophet Sallam, and Allah said, Angel Jibril alayhi salam, one of the mu'jizat of Prophet Sallam, whatsoever you do, except Prophet Sallam is not hungry. Once that thing touches him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send down angel to give him. Are you ready then? Let the heart take all of them. And that single person, because he accused Prophet Sallam, he attacked Prophet Sallam, he abused Prophet Sallam verbally. Prophet Sallam, Allah told Angel Jibril, give it back to him. Tabbat yada abi lahab wa tabba. Allahu Akbar. Till today, till Yawm al-Qiyamah, Prophet Sallallahu confirmed that from among those who will be in hell, Abu Lahab is there. From his family. Prophet Sallallahu began the wahy. Later, he came out. Later, he was telling people, and people were threatening him up to the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making that now, Ya ayyuhal muddathir, come fa'anzir. It's time. Don't talk behind any mountain. Go out, deliver the messenger. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Whoever who wishes, it is in his own best interest, let him accept. Whoever that denounces, let him go. Will all of you come back to me one day, and I will give everybody based on what he did. مَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. This we need to know about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then what he did after Bi'itha, when Allah raised him as a prophet, when he delivered the message, then the kind of persecution, turmoil, turbulence, Allahu Akbar kabira, friction, agony, sufferings, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He saw everything, whatsoever the trial, quantum of those trials for Dawood, for Ibrahim, for Idris, for Yaqub, for all of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala combined everything and gave to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As a yatim, orphan, before he began the wahy, no money. When he became a prophet, no money. Before and after, he was never rich. Meaning, the money Allah has given to you and I today, it is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi al-azim, it's a trial. It's a trial. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, la tulhikum amwalukum, wala awladukum an dhikrillah. Oh, you believe in Allah, don't allow your wealth and your children to take you away, to derail you, to occupy your house to the extent that you tend to forget Allah. Anybody who does that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepares worse May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never punish anyone of us. But Prophet, as he did that, we need to understand that without kabili sirati, you need to study Sirah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what we do in Islamia. Some did not have the privilege of going to any Islamia, but you can read. There's a book now, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the name of the book. That's the name of the book. Just read everything about him. We need to understand if truly you give answer inside the couple, because understanding all this will make your Islam to be the kind of Islam Prophet wants you to practice. The kind of Islam Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept. Not just adulterated Islam. There are adulterated, in fact, say Prophet made mention of 73, in another hadith 71. If you go by what people do now with creed, Allahu Akbar Kabira, a lot, they have their own ways. They think with those ways or through those ways they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They inherited kama wajadna alayha abahana, giving Allah a name that doesn't belong to him, calling Prophet what he did not call himself. What he did not call himself. Wala yaliq bil muslim yajhal ar-rasul. It's an affront. In fact, very disgusting for a Muslim. And yajhal ar-rasul, to be ignorant of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To be very embarrassing for him on the day of Qiyamah, which starts from Al-Qabr. And yajhal ar-rasul. Kayfa tattabi'u shakhsan wa anta la ta'rifu? How will you follow somebody who you don't know? Say Muhammad Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But you don't know beyond that. No, we need to know, all of us. Says, how on how? Kayfa tattabi'u shakhsan. How will you follow somebody? Wa anta la ta'rifu, whereas you don't know him. Hada ghayru ma'qul. Sheikh said it doesn't make sense. To all of us, it doesn't make sense. We say you belong to APC. You have to know the chairperson or president or chairman of the party. If truly you belong to that political party. Now this goes far beyond political party. This is the only way to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the only way to get to Al-Jannah. May Allah never deprive any one of us Al-Jannah. Number 3, ma'rifatu din in Islam. As you know Allah, as you know Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, knowing Allah gives you the opportunity to answer. Man rabbuka? Rabbi Allah. Now, you know Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Man nabiyuka? Nabiyyu Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Last one, ma'rifatu din in Islam. Not only that, bil adillah. Knowing Islam, understanding the concept of Islam, the nitty-gritty of Islam, bil adillati damigha, with clear evidences and reference. Now, this is where majority have problems. For Allah, they know Allah. For Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they know Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But ma'rifatu din in Islam bil adillah, knowing Islam with evidence, authentic evidence, not just call a sheikh somebody. This is where majority of people are far away from the camp of Allah. They are far away from the camp of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We give an example. Islam, we have made mention. This Islam, you have to do it. Allah says, Inna Dina Inda Allahi al-Islam. The most confirmed and authentic religion before Allah is Islam. وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِ غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَا يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. Whoever chooses any other way apart from Islam as a way to worship Allah, فَلَا يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. It will never be accepted from him. وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. He will be among woeful losers on the day of Qiyamah. Now, if truly we have to follow this, we need to get to Islam the way Prophet ﷺ had practiced. Ma'rifat din Islam, alladhi huwa dinu hadha rasul. Prophet ﷺ never had any other religion but Islam. But huwa dinu Allah azza wa jalla. It is the deen of Allah, the religion of Allah, alladhi amra bihi ibadahu, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands every living being, all mankind, not only Muslims, just by law, by a rahmah of Allah that we are mu'minun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded everybody that we should worship none but Him. Ya ayyuhan nasu ubudu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum walladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Allah says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O you mankind, worship none but Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, if some have now taken another way, that no, all is the same way. In fact, it is so pity. Some Muslims have that belief that you cannot teach Allah the way He wants His thing. Those who are doing this, those who are going to that place, all of them, no. No, no. Innamal a'malu binniyat. Action shall be judged according to intention. Then that intention, you have to make it based on the action itself. And the action itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made mention, Inna dina inda Allah al-Islam. If Allah has made it that anywhere, any form, any manner, any approach you use to worship me, I will take it, then you are free. But Allah says, Inna dina inda Allah al-Islam. And for clarity, He says, Man yabtaghi ghayra al-Islam dinan. Anybody who does another one apart from Islam, fala yuqbala minhu, you will not accept it. So that means other ones are not religion. Wallahi. They were before the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By the advent of Prophet sallallahu coming of Prophet sallallahu with Quran, every other religion ceased to be. It's only Islam. It's only Islam. That is why Allah made mention, check Surah Al-Ma'idah, any non-believer, especially those who took Isa alayhi salam as a God or his mother, God's son, God's woman, or whatever, astaghfirullah, on the day of Qiyamah, Allah will challenge him and call Isa alayhi salam, A'anta qulta lin-nas ittakhidhuni wa ummiya ilahayni min dunillah. Isa alayhi salam, come today, you have cases, not cases. A'anta qulta lin-nas, were you the one who told people, ittakhidhuni wa ummiya ilahayni min dunillah? Were you the one who told them to treat you and your mother as ilahayn, two gods? Min dunillah, beside me Allah. Isa will say, oh Allah, I didn't say that. In fact, you know that I didn't say that for Allah. In kuntu qultuhu faqad alimta. If I had said that, you Allah, you know that I said it. Faqad alimta. Ta'lam ma fi nafsi wa la a'lam ma fi nafsi. You know what is in my heart. Oh Allah, I do not know what is in your heart. Everything, ma yalfidhu min qawl illa ladayhi raqibun atid. If I had said it, it would have been documented by Raqib Atid. I didn't say it. So anybody who chooses any other way to worship Allah, the person will have it back to him on the day of Qiyamah. Man ahdatha fi amrina hadha ma laysa min fahuwa radd. Whoever brings anything as part of concept of religion which was never there, Prophet Sallallahu never did, he never gave any authorization, no Sahaba did, no Tabi'in had any reference, fahuwa radd. It's back to sender. In a clear term of Imam Muslim, Prophet Sallallahu says, Man amila amalan, laysa alayhi amruna, fahuwa raddu. Whoever does any act of ibadah, through which he thinks you get reward, alayhi laysa alayhi amruna, and we have not given order for him to do that, we did not do, none of the Sahaba did, fahuwa raddu, he shall be back to sender. Many will now see on the day of Qiyamah, yawmul haqq, whereas it will be very late. Very, very late. Very, very late. That is why Dinullah Azza wa Jal alladhi ama bi ibadahu walladhi amaraka bi ittibahi wa anta mutalabun la budda an ta'rif hadha din wal Islam huwa dinu jami'ir rusul. You must understand Islam if truly you believe in Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because Prophet sallallahu himself never practiced another religion but Islam. And you want to be part of his people who have the eligibility, so that you will intercede for them on the day of Qiyamah, you must follow him too. Number 3, your Islam must be streamlined in same way with his own Islam. Not some people, some brothers say, no, you have to spice it up. I had that about 2 years ago. I tried to look at the spicing up. What does it mean? Now, no, he believes some things. Things are dull. You need to at least dance more. Dance more. Dance why? Than Allah. What will a Muslim think about Nigeria, about Islamic Muslim Ummah throughout the world that make you and I to dance? What is that thing today? Is it COVID-19? It has built now to COVID-20, 2021, now to 2022, being changed to Omicron, which no one knows the next. I don't know. Delta variant. Abuja variant. One brother called me today from Lagos. He said, Wallahi, he had wanted to come. Alhamdulillah, maybe Allah wants me to extend the salam to all of us. Allah Isab used to be in Coca-Cola, now in Lagos. He said, I should extend the salam to everybody. I said, oh, you have not come to Abuja. He said, because of COVID, whatever, that inside the plane, this and that, and the airport. You see how Nigerians will deceive ourselves. On your way, you put feet where you stand. Somebody in front of you in this camera, stand there. Another one, stand. Another with gap, social distance. When you enter the plane, No social distance again. Who is deceiving who? Wallahi, we deceive ourselves. And write it down. Even if COVID-19, COVID whatever, Omicron, Albosa, anything they call it, if it's ravaging the world, may Allah extend our lives to 2023 and beyond. You see that it will not affect Nigeria. 2023. Anything that will make them not to go for election, they will block it. Even all this banditry, wallahi. We recall during Jonathan now, election was about to be held. They now came together and extended it. I think they postponed for 2-3 weeks or so. Within the 3 weeks, they eliminated all the villages. They went and campaigned and did the election. يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا وما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم وما يشعرون في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا. The one that is worse than COVID-19 will come if they did not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they did not do the needful, if Muslims are interchanged or they mortgage their tawheed. We should not mortgage our tawheed by changing Islam for something else. No. Islam, ma'rifatu din al-Islam bil adillah. Always ask. If someone tells you, do this, ask, where is an evidence? Evidence. If there's no evidence, stay away. If there's evidence, the Quran, okay, no, fine. No Quran, show me hadith, fine. But no, kama wajadna alayhi abana. Some people think because we have been doing it years ago, since. How will somebody now come today and say, Malaman Zamani? No wahala. Zaman is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nu'ibu zamanana wa la'ibu fina. Wa ma li zamanina aibun siwana. Zaman has never changed because Rabbul Dahar is Allah. Allah has never changed. It is we ourselves that we do change. But whatsoever you change, Allah has given you a night. Last warning. Last warning. Ittaqullah haqqa tuqatihi. Wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. You may gallivant around. You may gyrate. You may move up and down. Whatsoever you do, make sure you do not transit from this dunya except in the state of Islam. Wallahi, that's the only saving grace. Otherwise, if they do so called Quran so they read, be not being calm, Allah will not accept it. For those who worship other things, Wallahi, Allah will not accept it. In fact, there are hadiths when you listen to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you won't be able to help yourself but to shed tears. There are individuals, they ask Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where is the future? Where is their faith? What's going to be their faith in Akhirah? Prophet said they are in hell. I'm sorry, they are in hell. May Allah not put you and I in hell. For us not to be in hell, soothsaying, misfortune telling, patronizing them, be robbed in Kaaba, they can never ever give you anything that Allah is not ready to give you. Wallahi, if Serikin Bokai of Abuja comes and say, Wallahi, Serikin go to bed, except you don't believe in Allah. Because he himself, kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, and you shall never die except your time has come. You know, Wallahi. Prophet said that, wa ma yantiqu anil hawa. You will not die. If it is in the hand of somebody before, you wouldn't have even grown up in your family. If somebody, they say, Wallahi, because you now take what is due to Allah to human being, you report Allah to human being, they now scare you up. Some, they told them that it's their mother that are chasing them. Mother that suffer. Wallahi al-azim, wallahi al-azim, wallahi al-azim. Some, they don't go and see their mothers. Go and retract now, before it is late. Once she said, last breath, the heaviest turban of Nigeria cannot intercede for you before Allah. If you are not dutiful to your parents, if you are not dutiful, you are not kind to your parents, whatsoever the means Allah has given to you, Allah wants to see that replicated in your mother and your father. You can't be stingy to your parents, you can't be stingy to your neighbor. It's not good. It's not good. But to your parents, that one is not good. It is worse. We said in our last discussion in the hadith, Birrul Walidain. Some will get Al-Jannah on a platter of gold just because of their dutifulness, their kindness, their generosity to their parents. Please, Alhamdulillah, we have seen in this same masjid, I need not to mention, but for all of us to take a lesson, Wallahi al-Azim, I am the humble self. A brother in this masjid is here now. His mother called me that, please, Imam, he told me, you are the imam of their estate. Please continue to pray for my son. He never allowed me to know any talauti. He has been giving me everything. The brother is in the masjid. And the father called me also. Another brother, Wallahi al-Adim. These are people we didn't talk with from another state. The imam, don't daraja manzal Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anytime you pray for my son, kaza. If nobody, your parents have not that time for you, please go and do something. Wallahi, I would have wished to do more. But for me, it is over. Both father and mother over. As young as I am, over. But I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two of them, alhamdulillah. The mother died in my hand. And the day of Friday, the last 10 days, we are looking for Laylatul Qadr. And the father also, Allah called him also on Friday, alhamdulillah. And in my own little way, I was not rich. But since 3 years ago, the father even said, don't buy clothes again. The only thing I need, I have purchased it. Birabbil Kaaba, likafali. That's all. All of us one day. Nothing. Replicate the favors of Allah in your parents. Let them wake up in the night and say, oh Allah, Allah, man, Allah is somebody al-Baraka. I saw another one here from our brothers here. The jeep was filled up with food items, yam, this and that, and sent a driver to the village to mother. All these things, it is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can never ever get the pleasure of Allah if your parents are angry with you. To know this significance, Allah told us in Surah Al-Isra, even if they are not Muslims, وَصَوْحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. Even if they are not worshiping Allah, relate well with them, be obedient to them, be nice to them, be generous to them, be kind to them, be at their doorstep. We made mention our last hadith. One of those things, when 3 people were under cave, the cave there, they couldn't go out. The first one made mention, he will not eat, he will not drink, he will not serve any of his members or family except that the 2 parents, old, they are satisfied. No matter how little. Don't say, mama, who tells you that your mom cannot get something from tantalizer? Just ask the doctor if it is good for her body, inshallah. Do everything. But when it comes to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but niceness, goodness, mannerism, good, do everything. One day they will go, then you know their value and worth. But be late. You don't need to call your mother and father and say, please be praying for me. They don't do anything, they pray for you. Except you are not in that category. Yes, some, they say, cry. Just here, it's just like zakah of all our children. Don't let them mention your name for Allah's sake. A lot of people are doing, we may not know, but continue to do because you can never ever do enough for your parents. For those who are out there with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including myself, may Allah grant us al-Jannah. Our iman, we should strive harder and harder, never to truncate our iman. Our tawheed must not be motivation for dunya. Everything in dunya is one day is off. Allahu Akbar. See our Sheikh in Kano. Everybody see social media since Friday. This Imam here, this everybody is saying good about him. Sheikh Dr. Abdullah Ahmad Bamba, may Allah grant him al-Jannah to Firdaus. All our departed souls, may Allah grant them al-Jannah to Firdaus. This we are reading, may Allah make it hujjah for me, myself, and for all of us. May Allah not make it hujjah against any one of us. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Inshallah, we will look at the question. Time has gone. May Allah accept it and make channel to all of us to get to al-Jannah to Firdaus. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. May Allah continue to grant you sound knowledge, Ameen, and all of us. The brother requested that we make dua for him, that he has been posted to Maiduguri as a soldier. Allahu Akbar Kabir. The brother, if the brother is here, let me give you al-Bishri. Wallahi al-Azim, Wallahi al-Azim, nothing is beyond the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one that is destined to die in Abuja will not die in Kano. The one that is destined to die in Saudi will not die in Kuwait. And That Al-Bishri, I know somebody, now he's in Abia State, a Muslim brother, man of the Hakim Muhammad, may Allah continue to protect him. He spent 6 good years in Sambisa. 6 good years. And when he came back, he was telling us like this, face to face, not newspaper, that some died less than a week that they were posted. Some died less than a month. Some died less than a year. Some died after 2-3 years. But he was among those few who survived. He spent 6 good years. Now he's in Abia State. It's the same Allah who protected him. The same Allah who is still on the throne. May Allah protect our brother. Let's say Amen for him. But all you need, you yourself, don't distance yourself from Ahadith of Prophet. Adhikar as-sabah wal masa. Morning adhikar done by Prophet. Evening adhikar, do them, read Ayatul Kursi, everything, leave them in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, some 2-3 brothers who I just had in Lagos, 2 Hafiz. The third one Hafiz, 3 of them, they died. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admit them to Al-Jannah for them. I think 1 died after Leah, 2 last week, 1 day before yesterday or so, that I got the information. The most important thing is that we all know that we will die. Put it at the back of your mind, you will not die the day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not there, distinct. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to always protect you. Do the morning adhikar, evening adhikar. Don't put your hand in shirk, because it could happen at any time. Sheikh Abdullah Bomba, he told people the last one, Sa huta ranar asawa da lahadi inshallah, with all smile, that next week inshallah, I said that next week will never ever come back again. So it's a lesson to all of us. Hold on to Allah. Don't let this dunya deceive you to believe in something abracadabra. Abracadabra, it has deceived many people before you and I. It is deceiving many, but all of us, inna rabbaka labil mirsad. And Allah will bring everything forth on the day of Qiyamah. So our brother, may Allah envelope him under his perfect protection. May Allah extend his protection to all of us. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.